It's the season opener from San Marin High. Basketball is back for the Petaluma Varsity boys basketball team as they take on the San Marin Mustangs next, right here on Trojan Live.
What a shot! The wonder goal! And a good evening from San Marin High School. It is a rocking atmosphere for the season opener between your Petaluma Trojans and the San Marin Mustangs. It's been a long off season, a lot of changes for both teams, and both sides will get a look at two new look teams. The Trojans under head coach Scott Bears once again, but they lose 7 seniors from last year's experienced squad. There's a lot of new young talent, a lot of fresh faces that should provide some excitement in tonight's game and throughout the season for Petaluma. They're going to be matched up against a talented but also very young San Marin squad who has a new coach in Pat Fay and only 4 seniors, the same as the Trojans. San Marin lost 8 seniors from their squad last year that went to the quarterfinals of NCS in Division 3, and they have a storied program, but they are going through some transition times as well here in Novato. Should be a good one between San Marin and Petaluma. It's coming up next here from San Marin High School. They're getting ready for intros of both sides. We'll get introduced to the starters for Petaluma and San Marin. Be interesting to see who head coach Scott Bears decides to start for Petaluma. He went with 5 seniors in their foundation game on Tuesday, but now this one counts for real. Let's listen into the San Marin PA announcer.
Trojans of Petaluma High School and the Vine Valley League and the Mustangs of San Marin High School and the Marin County Athletic League. We hope that you enjoy the game and support our student athletes in a positive and sportsmanlike manner. We welcome our friends from Petaluma and wish all players good health in tonight's game. The referees for this game are Jason Brooks and Ulysses Morales. And now, the starting lineup for the Petaluma Trojans. Number 1, a senior, Zach Clark.
One of the Trojans' 2 captains.
A senior, Robbie Izetta.
Trojans' only returning starter. They'll be looking for leadership in a hostile atmosphere tonight.
George Tynes.
Trojans hope the raw but skilled Tynes can provide some height.
A senior, Penny
Alexander, what a game he had on Tuesday night in the foundation game against Windsor. 26 wins. A talented Eric Perez will get the start in his first varsity game. He will be fun to watch. Scott Bears in his 3rd year.
for your San Marin Mustangs. Number 0, Sean Samuel. A sophomore.
Average 5.8 points per game. He'll provide some height. Silva new to the varsity roster, part of that young core of this Mustangs.
Gerasi.
He's one of the 2 Gerasi brothers, 7.7 points per game last year.
Gerasi.
He's the star, the leading scorer last year as a freshman with 8 points per game. That's the captain. He gets the loudest cheer from the San Marin student section. And Patrick Fahey coaching his first game. He's a former assistant coach from Casa Grande. We'll get into him a little bit more. Trojans fell to Windsor by 3 points on Tuesday night in the foundation game, but they played well against a good MBL team. And both of these teams are pretty young, so it really makes it very interesting to see how both will do, but a lot of young talent. Ryan Perez in his first varsity game, the younger brother of Trojans' former star, the younger brother of Eric Perez, is the younger brother of Ryan Perez, the Trojans' former star, who helped lead the Trojans to their first SCL tournament championship victory in 15 years, 3 years ago. And he is a really talented player. He's going to be fun to watch. But the 2 Gerasi brothers are 2 very talented players as well. We're ready to go on this Saturday night affair. This place already rocking from San Marin winning their NCS football game earlier this afternoon. Mustangs win the jump. They're going from left to right there in white, Trojans in black. And the 2018-19 season underway for Petaluma. Foul on on Alexander. It's Max Windergren. The drive. Trojans will have the advantage on height once again, but San Marin not bad either, height-wise. Tynes, Alexander, both over 6 feet. They went with Gehring to start last game. He's also over 6 feet. So Windergren misses the first. Perez, they say he's 6 foot, but they're probably being a little generous. Windergren splits the pair. San Marin strikes first here, 1-0. 8-minute quarters here in high school basketball. The Trojans finished last year on a 5-game losing streak, trying to turn around from what was a rough end to a promising season with a new look. Alexander goes into traffic. He's blocked. Loose ball. Clark diving on the floor. And it will stay Trojan ball. Excellent effort by Zach Clark. He's not going to do a lot of scoring, but I like to call him a game manager. Leads the Trojans up and down the court, and by example, to diving on balls, diving on the floor, really doing everything to help Trojans win. He doesn't have massive experience, though. Refs who had a couple adventures in the JV game before, which the Trojans pulled out, are already having another long discussion. Be a learning experience for the refs as well. 1-0 San Marin leads. Izetta gives off to Perez, led the JV team in scoring last year. Izetta, the only returning starter. They'll need his leadership tonight. Shot clock down to 5. Clark's got to go, and he's stripped. Not a good first possession for the Trojans. They never got a shot off. That's what you want to make sure to be able to do. Drive inside, and it goes. Dexter Gerasi, a senior guard, was second in scoring last year, only to his younger brother, with 7.7 points per game. Tynes way out at the three-point line. That's, you would think, out of his range, but he sinks the jumper from the free-throw line. Tynes had a pretty quiet foundation game, so really raw player, really raw last year, but you could see him develop over the course of last year, and Coach Bears has more hope for him this year. Foul called on Tynes.
Fouls on number 4, the Trojan, George
Tynes, 6'4", 185-pound senior. Season high was 10 points last year against Del Molino. Mostly garbage time, but they've had to put him in a starting role with Devin Gottschall, Jack Anderson, the Trojans' 2 big men, off to college. Off the mark, but offensive board pulled down. That is something the Trojans did a really good job of on Tuesday night, not allowing. They don't there. Gerasi pulled it down, and that's Alexander's second foul. He had 26 points on Tuesday. He's really going to lead the Trojans in scoring most games, but he can't do it by sitting on the bench, so that is already a major concern for Petaluma. Off to find elsewhere for scoring. Nice play by Clark and Tynes, and it was last touched by San Marin. Dexter Gerasi was lying on the baseline when he touched the ball. So 3-2, San Marin lead, 6:20 run remaining here in the first quarter. From Paul Fehrenbach Court in northwest Novato. Sam Brown has entered the game for the Trojans. Showed some nice play in the Trojans foundation game on Tuesday. Bumping foul on Gerasi. Izetta needs to increase his scoring this year, one thing, and hopes to get the three-point shooting going. He really struggled for a large part of last year. It was a disappointment for certain. Izetta got stuck in the corner, and the Mustangs go the other way. Gerasi unable to finish, but the foul. And the Trojans need to watch her fouls here right now. San Marin looks a little bit out of control, but the Trojans are giving the Mustangs some free passes. Brown called for the foul. And Whitaker, who's been active early, back to the line. Trojans last year scored 51 points per game. But they put up 70 points on the foundation loss to Windsor. Looks like a higher scoring team this year, less defense probably with a younger team, but they're really going to struggle if they can't pull down boards. As Samuels pours down the offensive board, Trojans are just not boxing out here early. Maybe it's a little bit of a big moment for this young team. It's hard to start your season for real on the road. Well, they certainly look poised against Windsor on Tuesday, but it didn't count. Quiet start for Perez as his shot is blocked by Gerasi. They swing it to Gerasi wide open. It's off the mark. Brown trying to save it. He can, and again, the Mustangs get a free pass. Tynes will exit. Gehring will enter. Trojans unable to secure offensive rebounds right now. They're giving the Mustangs chance after chance. Pick and roll. Sanders, that's a mismatch. Gehring a lot shorter than him. Inside, excellent defense by Sam Brown, who has developed very quickly. He's a star first baseman for the baseball team. But he has some talent no matter what field or court he's on. So far, he's looked like he's going to be an excellent player for the Trojans this year. They throw it into Brown, and Widergren got his hand stuck in the cookie jar. Second team foul on the Mustangs. Trojans are already at 4 team fouls. 4:55 remaining here in the first quarter. And a slow and sloppy game. Widergren exits. And to be expected between these two young teams to see some growing pains, a lot of fouls, a lot of turnovers here early. That's what team can get past it will make the difference. And there's another one. Sanders the foul on Izetta. Izetta only averaged 4 points per game last year. Season high of 12 against Sonoma Valley, but he's the only 3-year varsity player on this team that includes 4 sophomores, 7 seniors, but 2 of them were not on varsity last year. And the foul fest, no, that's offensive. Izetta coming around the screen. I think it was on Brown. Large student section has made their way for the Saturday night affair. Season opener. It's a proud program here at San Marin. Nice pump fake by Gerasi, and he sinks it. Trojans need to make sure Tyson Gerasi does not get going. He's only a sophomore, but he is a superstar. In the making, Perez wide open. Oh, it rolled in and out. Perez is going to make those majority of the time, but he's been pretty quiet in his season debut. Drive to the rack for Dexter Gerasi. Senior guard.
Fouls on number 1 of the Trojans, Zach Clark.
A foul on Clark. Now the 5th team foul on the Trojans, and the Mustangs are going to be shooting 3 throws probably the entire second quarter. More substitutions. The Trojans will enter their 2nd sophomore, and Esteban Bermudez, who's had a terrific second half in the foundation game, and he's just as talented as Eric Perez. Perez and Bermudez are going to be fun to watch all season long, and I'd expect to see both starting by the time BVAO play starts at the end of December. Gerasi off the mark. Bermudez will clear the press. Brown all alone, and he lays it in. Excellent job by the Trojans getting out of the press and getting a free layup as Brown gets his first points of his varsity career. 7-4, the Mustangs lead. That was the poise that Coach Bears would want to see. Now Brown is called for foul. I mean, they are calling it tight tonight.
Fouls on number 32, the Trojans, Sam Brown, his 2nd.
That's Brown's 2nd.
16.
And the Mustangs are going to be in the bonus the rest of the way. That is unbelievable. Or the rest of this half, I should say. Gerasi, that looked like 4 or 5 steps. They didn't call it. Oh, Clark is all alone. He lays it in. Excellent job running the floor by the captain, Zach Clark. And it's 7-6. Trojans doing a good job defending. They found a couple free baskets. Maybe that will get their offense going. That's been pretty slow. Oh, Bermudez nearly turned it over. He provides great energy. Both Bermudez and Perez, they have great hustle, great energy. They love the game. Really fun to watch. Aggressive move to the rack, it goes.
2 points. Dexter.
Gerasi putting the team on his back, and it's 9-6. You see Bermudez almost out of control. Trojans lucky to still have it, and now they don't have it.
Steal.
Now, turnovers and offensive boards are something you want to avoid, and Trojans have too many of those early. They're lucky to only be down 3, make it 5.
2 points.
Gerasi finds a soft spot right below the free-throw line, and it's 11-6. The lead is 5 for San Marin. 2:30 remaining in the first quarter in this season opener. Trojans hoping to get a signature victory to start their year, make an impression. It's a long season though. Bermudez was online, just a little short. Samuels pulls down the board. Trojans need to just get off more shots though. They'll start to fall. Gerasi. Oh, that was a little ambitious for the Stars. Bermudez is knocked to the ground. Really not the worst foul by San Marin, as the Trojans have 4 of their points in transition. Sherwood on the foul. 4th team foul on the Mustangs. So Ryan Sullivan will enter. Was on JV last year. He's a terrific shooter. So he should help inject some scoring for the Trojans.
In the game for the Mustangs.
One of only 2 juniors on this young Trojan team. Izetta open for 3. Got it! Robbie Izetta from downtown. We mentioned he needs to get his 3-point shooting all year long to help out the Trojans in big moments. He hit 2 threes against Windsor on Tuesday night. Fancy footwork, but you got to hit the shot. Rossi couldn't. And all the way to the rack, and the foul. Well, that was, again, another offensive board, and the Trojans are once again with their hands up, looking confused why there's a foul.
Foul number 15 of the Trojans, Gehring.
Foul is called on Gehring. That'll be his first, but Dexter Gerasi, the senior, gets off kind of a crazy shot. You just got to be able to pull down that board, and the Trojans struggling to do that so far. Gerasi's first rims out. 3-throw shooting has not been great for San Marin as much as they've gotten to the line here early. Tynes re-enters, but Alexander still on the bench for Petaluma with 2 fouls. And another offensive board pulled down. My goodness. That is killer. Pat Fahey, San Marin's new coach, calling at the play from the sideline. Gerasi with the nice floater over the defender, hand in his face, and he sinks at 13-9. Bermudez lucky he caught that. He barely knew it was coming. Izetta already pooling in sweat. Fancy crossover. They need to get Tynes more inside. Shot clock down to 10. Now they get Tynes to post up. Wow, he's raw. He doesn't post up a lot, and you saw it looked totally out of control. Oh, nice move by Gerasi, and he forces the foul. 13-9, and the Mustangs heading to the line for more. That is the 9th team foul on Petaluma, and with 43.6 seconds remaining in the first quarter, the Mustangs are going to be getting 2 3-throws at every foul the rest of the way in this for the first half. Gerasi hits the first. Pat Fahey replaces Pat Fahey, the Mustangs' new coach. He's the 3rd coach in the last 3 years, replacing Dan Curtis from last year. And the story is the 3 throws are split, is the really legendary coach here at San Marin. He passed away at only 40 years old. But Craig Pitty, coached here for 11 years, and a remarkable success building San Marin into a powerhouse. Tynes, might have been tipped. Sullivan gets on the ground, and a jump ball with 19.7 seconds left. Possession arrow points towards the Trojans.
Possession.
So shot clock is turned off here, and the Trojans trailing by 6. so they can hold for the last shot. Craig Pitty, in his 11 years as head coach at San Marin, 170 and 130, including 3 Marin County athletic titles. As that ball just goes out of bounds, Trojans turn it over again. So now San Marin will get an opportunity. And in 2011, San Marin won NCS Division III title. It's a proud program. Pitty tragically passing away of colon cancer last year. Inside and off the hands of Sanders. Back to the Trojans, 4.7 seconds left. San Marin's going to press here, and Trojans likely have to heave it. Perez gets the pump fake. Oh, it's close, but it doesn't go. Perez wants the foul. He was quiet in the first quarter. The Trojans provide some energy. They didn't look scared, but too many offensive boards and too many fouls. They've got to clean that up, but they're right in this one at the end of one. San Marin 15, Petaluma 9. Start of the second quarter here from Novato. The Mustangs leading by 6. Gerasi with half those points. Kenny Alexander, one of the big storylines, having to go to the bench after 1 minute with 2 fouls. And Trojan expecting him to lead them in scoring. Petaluma's kind of been resigned to shooting outside shots. Izetta has a 3 and a couple other shots in transition. Bermudez gets one to go with the right hand. He just flies all over the court. He stands out. He might have scouts looking at him when he's standing out by next year, I would suggest. And Tynes just can't get those hands in there. That looked like a lot of ball, but they're going to call that tonight. Tynes second. Now he's third, and that means that he's going to have to come out. The 2 Gerasi brothers will switch.
Back in the game for the Trojans, number 15, Garrett.
And the Mustangs will get 2 at the line as well with them in the double bonus. 15-11 the score, 7:22 remaining here in the second quarter. Season opener for both teams, season opener across the Bay Area for high school boys basketball teams. So all 7 VVAL teams the Trojans will be seeing this year also start their season today. 3 throws no good, but San Marin pulls down another board. You wouldn't think it'd be an issue with size, and even though the Trojans don't have Alexander Tynes in there, they're not grossly outsized. Garen can't believe it, but again, you can't put your hand in there because they're going to call that. It's just the reality, and the Trojans might run out of players at this rate. How many fouls are being called against them? So Sanders will head to the line for 2. Samuel, I should say. One of only 4 players on the Mustangs that scored last year that returns for them. And they return their top 3 scorers. And the 2 Gerasi brothers, along with Sean Samuel, is at the line. But the issue besides that is top scorers last year, number 4 through 8, all graduated. They were all seniors on a good team that their record doesn't show. They were 11-16 as the pair split, and 4-10 at a good MCAL, but they went to the quarterfinals of NCS. And I've played a tough schedule. It was an up-and-down year for San Marin, and it was very hard. They had to play just a month after head coach Greg Pitty passed away. They still have the CP mark on their shirt as Bermudez jumper rattles out. And he's right now been the center of the Trojan attack. He's been flying all over the court. San Marin going inside and trying to take advantage of the fouls, but good defense by Sullivan. If you don't foul and force San Marin to shoot, wonders might occur. Perez has been very quiet. Clark, that was well off the mark. Clark is not a good shooter. He's a good leader, but he's not going to be someone that's going to want to take those 3-point shots. And it is an offensive foul. Brown will enter. Gehring legs it. It's hard with the roster the Trojans have right now. They don't have a lot of shooting on the floor. Perez and Bermudez and maybe Sullivan, though he really doesn't have a lot of experience. Alexander remains on the bench with 2 fouls. I wonder when head coach Scott Bears will put Trojan star and captain back in. Sullivan hits from downtown. A huge three for Ryan Sullivan, and the Trojans got the lead to 2, 16-14. Sullivan, one of 4 players on this Trojan team that's also on the football team. Dealt with some hostile situations, double dribble on San Marin. Tyson Gerasi re-enters for the Mustangs. And we'll have a timeout, San Marin. So the Trojans trailing by 2, but they've cut into the deficit with 5:44 remaining in the second quarter. Izetta, Bermudez, Sullivan, Perez, and Brown, who just entered for the Trojans. Sullivan just hit that 3. Izetta also hit 1. Brown's got a bucket. Same with Clark. Bermudez has 4. Sullivan rising up the baseline J. And we are tied for the first time in this one, 16-16. Trojans have trailed by as much as 7, but they have clawed their way back. They have looked poised, and San Marin has struggled to score when the Trojans haven't fouled them. Again, no foul. Unable to hit. Bermudez pushing it up. Trojans have gotten a couple buckets on the fast break. Bermudez will fire. It rattles off. Brown the offensive board, and he'll get to the line. Little taste of the old medicine for the Mustangs. This Brown will get 2 at the line, a shooting foul. Mentioned he's a star first baseman for Petaluma's varsity baseball team last 2 years, even though he's only junior. He started as a freshman and hit 4 home runs as a freshman. This place is loud as Brown's first 3 throws off the back iron. It's a different experience standing at the 3-throw line than maybe being up with 2 out, 2 on, down by 1 in the bottom of the 6. So Brown certainly come in the clutch multiple times in that situation for Petaluma basketball team. Offensive board by Perez, and he gets to the line. San Marin fans aren't happy with that call, but you got to call it both ways, and that's how the refs have been calling it. Trojans will be in the bonus on the next fouls. That is the 16th foul on San Marin. So Eric Perez gets his first points as a varsity player. It's going to be the first of many. He started tonight, but he's been kept pretty quiet. He's been guarded by Tyson Gerasi for the majority of this one, so that has to be a factor. Brown had it in his hands. Trojans nearly had another offensive board. But Petaluma has its first lead of the game, 17-16, with 4:47 remaining on this Saturday night season opener. Samuel, offensive foul. Well done, Sam Brown stepping in there. Trojans have done an excellent job defensively, especially in the second quarter. And all the momentum on Petaluma's side. Can they keep it going, this young team? Played excellent defense. Bermudez. Brown was all alone. Esteban Bermudez, the sophomore, has been leading the troops in this one. Sullivan, now Perez. Shot clock's down to 6. Brown fires off the back rim. And I think that was some inexperience by Brown. The student section for San Marin was counting 2-1 down when he shot, but there was really 5 seconds left. You got to know not to trust the visiting student section. Is Gerasi. It's a huge 3-pointer. Gerasi have gone quiet, and San Marin have been without a field goal this entire second quarter. A huge 3-pointer by Gerasi. He got loose on the pick and roll. Sullivan's been feeling it. Posting up, and the step back is good. Ryan Sullivan, my goodness. Excellent play by the junior small forward. Sanders, ambitious. And Sullivan pulls down a board, and now San Marin is racking up the fouls. Trojans will head to the line for a 1-and-1. 4 sophomores on this team, and right now you have 2 sophomores. One junior has never played basketball before, and the other junior was on JV, and one returning varsity player on the floor. And a hostile atmosphere, a pretty well-filled gym. It's totally filled on my side, which you can't see, but a loud student section, energetic. Their season opener. And the Trojans haven't looked scared at all tonight. Some inexperienced mistakes, and we'll continue to see those raw plays throughout the year, but the Trojans have really stayed strong. Sullivan can't hit. And I call the foul on Brown. No, my bad. Foul on San Marin. Foul on Michael Lemirden, the junior center. And we've seen some inexperienced moments by the Mustangs as well, which is not a surprise. Mentioned it, they have only 4 seniors on this team. They've lost a lot. They lost 8 seniors from last year, which is even more than the Trojans at 7. Brown struggling to hit. That was a 1-and-1. That was the 9th team foul, and the ref was confused. Oh, there's going to be ref confusion at the foundation game. They forgot who had the ball. It was Petaluma was going to have a chance to tie the game against Windsor with 3 seconds left, but they thought Windsor had the ball. Running the court, but the jumper is off the mark. San Marin cannot get one to fall. Just the 3 from Gerasi. Bermudez falls to the ground hard. And they call it travel. I guess he fell and rolled over, so that was the travel. Oh, it certainly looked like there had to be some contact there. Under 3 to go. We are all knotted at 19 on the season opener. That was over and back, and they missed it. And the San Marin fans know it. Excellent job by Petaluma. They have slowed both Gerasi brothers. This is the older one, the senior. Finds an opening little floater. We saw that earlier. It's almost a la Tony Parker. Uses some of his height and physicality. Sullivan in and out. He's been on fire, but that one wouldn't go. Gerasi back the other way. Low scoring in this season opener. Gerasi can't get that one to go. Trojans are starting to pull down some more boards. I don't know if there's any adjustment made, but maybe just calm down a little bit. Excellent move to the rack. Ryan Perez, or Eric Perez, I keep on calling him by his brother's name. His brother, now playing basketball at Santa Rosa Junior College, is in the building tonight. Watch his younger brother. Ryan Perez is the leading scorer, as you mentioned, on that SCL Tournament Championship team. Is Gerasi from downtown. His third 3 of the night. You can't leave the best player on the court wide open like that, or you will pay, and the Trojans do. 24-21. Pick and roll out to Brown. Brown trying to post up. Again, you saw with Tynes too. Neither Brown or Tynes are comfortable posting up, but Alexander continues to sit on the bench. Oh, what a move! The sophomore Tyson Gerasi with the up and under. It's a 6-0 run by San Marin, and head coach Scott Bears wants a timeout from Novato. It's warm in this gym and a lot of energy from the start, even for the JV game, because of what happened on this campus about 3 hours earlier. It was the NCS Division 4 quarterfinal between San Marin and St. Bernard's. And it was a barn burner, 49-47. San Marin wins. It was back and forth in the 4th quarter. I was following it on Max Preps, and it was fun to follow on there. San Marin goes to the semifinals. Their football team of NCS Division 4. I got a good football team here. Excellent athletics really all around here. Sullivan to Clark. Clark, the pump fake, the drive to the rack, the foul, and he'll get to the line. 10th team foul on the Mustangs, and the Trojans will be in the double bonus for the rest of this half, but that's only 39.9 seconds. Foul on Shirley, his second. I don't know if Alexander, as that one rattles out, don't know if the Alexander is out just purely because of the fouls or an injury or discipline or what the reason is. And there's been all sorts of reasons Coach Bears will not play players. It can often be for discipline, but I don't want to speculate anything. And we'll talk to him after the game. And if we don't see Alexander back in, we'll inquire. But that's certainly been a factor. And the Trojans have struggled to score for large stretches of this one. 4-second differential, shot clock, game clock. Gerasi, beautiful fakes, but he can't hit. Shot clock is turned off. 24 seconds left. Trojans should hold for the last shot in this first half. Trailing by 4. Clark, 8 seconds left. He drives to the rack, forces the foul. It won't go. There's been plenty of frustration for both sides with the tight calls, but that has been consistent at least. Trojans have struggled from the free-throw line. It's been about 50%, I would say, from my standards. They have not been making their free throws. The senior captain Clark hits that one. 6'1", 160-pound senior, had a bunch of offensive boards in the foundation game. He's calm and cool, and he's going to be a stable face when the Trojans get some pressure and get into tough times that are bound to happen at some point this year. Something I struggled with last year. 5 seconds left. San Marin sprinting down the court. They don't get the hit. Trojans come up with the rebound, and that will do it. We've reached the end of the first half here. It's the Petaluma Trojans trailing the San Marin Mustangs 26-24. A good one here in this first half.
Time here at San Marin High School with the Trojans trailing 26-24. An excellent first half. Saw some sloppiness from both sides as expected between two very young squads. But overall, Trojans have to be very happy, I think, with their first half play. They really struggled in that first quarter with key facets of their game. Gave up a lot of offensive rebounds, fouled a lot. Mustangs were in the double bonus by the end of the first quarter, but they really limited both things in the second quarter. They did not allow many offensive boards, and they limited the fouls as well. The Trojans struggling offensively, but you have to feel like if they put Kenny Alexander back in the second half, their offense should get into a better rhythm. They should be able to open up things in the paint, and that will open up things for at the three-point line even more for Petaluma, for an offense that is going to expect to put up more than 50 points per game, and right now only 24 points in the first half. They can also take advantage of a very tight game that's being called by the ref. They should be able to get to the line a lot more as the game goes ahead. Defensively, the Trojans have been terrific. They have really limited San Marin as long as they haven't fouled. Tyson Gerasi, a couple threes. They'll want to avoid that. But overall, the team Petaluma has shown some poise. San Marin, on the other hand, I think is the team that's looked a little bit more frazzled. They've thrown up a lot of off-balance shots, and when they haven't got to the line, they've really struggled to get into a rhythm on their offense. They've had to look to their star sophomore for some bailout three-pointers to keep up in this game. That is, though, why they lead 26-24 at the end of the first half. The second half coming up next right here on Trojan Live.
Ready to go here, start of the second half. From Novato, San Marin, and Petaluma, with the Mustangs leading by 2. Kenny Alexander has re-entered the game, so not sure why he did not play that entire second quarter. Yeah, he had 2 fouls, but he certainly thought he could have re-entered earlier. But the Trojans' likely leading scorer this year, at least the candidate for it, back in, and he helps with that turnover. Travel is called on Perez as he drives in. And now they call I believe they called a technical or a warning on Pat Fahey, who was unhappy, likely just a warning. San Marin's new head coach was not coaching last year due to his wife having a baby, but previously was an assistant coach at Casa Grande, Petaluma's crosstown rival under James Forby, so he knows Petaluma quite well. What a move by Gerasi, up and under. That is the skill and star. And Kaisa Gerasi, one of the best players in Marin County. 4-point lead. We'll see if the Trojans can get Alexander involved. Izetta tried to get involved himself, but that three-pointer off the front rim. Trojans really struggled on the road last year. They played a lot better at home. It's really been a trend over head coach Scott Bears, who's been the head coach now in his 4th year. But they've looked pretty good here on the road and comfortable in a hostile environment. That's that one. Sat on the rim forever, doesn't fall. Sanders battling for it. Alexander tried to get it. Sanders kind of just threw it out. And it fell to his friend, Tyson Gerasi. Want to avoid those offensive boards if you're Petaluma. Nice play by Perez. Poking that one out. 6:30 remaining here in this 3rd quarter. Head coach Scott Bears in his 4th year, 35-21 overall. 3 years in SCL, 21-13. Of course, the Trojans in a new league this year in the Vine Valley Athletic League. Hook doesn't go by the elder Gerasi. Trojans looking to get their offense going. It was slow for large parts of the first half. He's head off a pick and roll. He hit 1-3. They'd like to get him going. Sullivan was good in that first half. That's an ugly jumper. Sanders had a man ahead, and then it just fell to Max Wittergren, who had a quick start, got to the line a couple times and was quiet. Had some foul trouble. He hits. The lead is 4. Izetta, the fancy footwork, the fadeaway, and he hits Robbie Izetta from downtown. My bad, now a 3-point game. It was a 6-point game before, but an impressive 3 hit by the senior point guard for the Trojans. But San Marin answers. Jack Silva, the senior, hits the lay-in and the foul. And San Marin offensively looks like they have a lot of energy coming out of the locker room. You always look for adjustments. And you can see San Marin's made some on the offensive end. Just driving with a lot more abandon. Hit a couple more shots. So look a lot more rhythm offensively. They look totally out of it. Offensively, really bailed out by fouls. Sullivan's shot was halfway down. Clark will get to the line for the foul. Look at that Petaluma bench. They are up and thrilled. It's an excellent battle by the Trojans captain Zach Clark, who talked about his reckless abandon and fight. Head coach Scott Bears will call timeout. The lead is 5 for San Marin with 5:06 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 5:06 remaining in the 3rd quarter, and head coach Scott Bears in the middle of the Trojans. He's had great moments with Petaluma in his tenure as Petaluma coach, and including that SCL tournament championship in his first year, back-to-back NCS appearances for the first time since the early 2000s. So they went back-to-back in 2015 and 2015-16 year, the 2016-17 year, but of course missed NCS last year in 12 and 15 season. Ended up being ranked 19th. And really, I mean, they really struggled down the stretch, and you just wondered what the motivation levels were of the team after they had a heartbreaking loss to Healdsburg. And they just kind of seemed like they ran out of energy. Head coach Scott Bears kind of looked like he ran out of energy, and there wasn't a lot of want or effort on the team by the end of the year after they had such high expectations. And he also had some great moments, probably done better than expected with the talent levels he's had. And so far, he's done an excellent job growing this young squad inside, and the foul is called. And that's what we're talking about with San Marin. They're cutting, they're driving. This offense looks totally different in this second half. It has to be a concern for head coach Scott Bears. This Trojan defense was great in the first half, but they are going to have to be even tighter in the second half and cut down on cuts, or it could be a struggle because they right now do not have it offensively to get into a shootout in the second half. Widergren hits the first free throw. Trojans will not get a lot of time off as they take on Maria Carrillo on the road on Tuesday. Should be a winnable game against the Pumas. So Widergren sinks both, and the lead back out to 5. 4:46 remaining here in the 3rd quarter, the season opener Both Petaluma and San Marin Varsity boys basketball. Sullivan is stripped. And the Mustangs will slow it down. Just feels like San Marin has been the hotter team coming out of the locker room. They have found something. Inside, posting up on Alexander is Whitegren, but Alexander an excellent defender. But a foul is called. Again, you don't want to rack up those fouls. It was such an issue in the third quarter, or the first quarter. Now the third team foul. Sullivan's second foul. He'll sub out, and senior Garrett Gehring will enter. Especially the way the San Marin offense is looking, second chances can't happen. Gerasi just slipped, and he knows it. A smile on his face. It'll be Trojan ball. And they're going to need to clean up that wet spot. All right, Zeta calling the play, the floor general for the Trojans. Perez to Gehring. Here's Alexander posting up. No, he can't finish. He gets his own rebound. A sea of Mustangs. He traveled. Shuffled his feet. Well, Alexander can post up and bully defenders, but unable to finish. The Mustangs double-teamed him. Smart play, and Windsor in the foundation game really struggled to stop Alexander as he had 26 points to lead both teams in scoring. And he just was bowling his way inside one-on-one. But if you double-team him, it might force the Trojans to look elsewhere, and obviously didn't have to deal with Alexander in the first half. Gerasi spinning, turning, and hitting. And the lead is back out to 7, tied for the biggest lead of the game for San Marin. Alexander back to work, and this time he finishes. Beautiful hard dribble and spin. That's more like it for the senior captain for Petaluma. His first points of the evening. Gerasi stepped on the baseline as he came around. 3:20 remaining in the third quarter. Trojans trail by 5. Trojans won their season opener last year in a blowout victory against Terra Linda. Trying to do the same thing this year on the road against a probably better San Marin team. Foul called on the inside on Cole Shirley, the junior power forward. Trojans assistant Steve Meard and Nick Iacopi have been growing up this team as Alexander is starting to do a grown man work inside. Can he take over this game in the second half after Mustangs didn't have to deal with them in the first half? So hard to handle. He's also a defensive lineman on the football team. And defensively, he's a huge force as well inside. Trojans almost threw that one away. But Kenny Alexander, 6'3", 228 pounds. He is a beast of a player. Coach Bear said he came back this year with a fire in his eyes, put a lot of work in over the summer. And there's always that one player that comes back on whatever high school team it is after the summer. Perez nearly went over and back. There's always one player that comes back and has improved so much, done a lot of work. Travel. And that player was Alexander. He's improved a lot offensively, defensively, physically. He's going up and finishing through the defenders, and that has been huge. Mentioned also defensive lineman on the football team, and he never played football before, and he was a beast on the line. He had 5 sacks, a lot of tackles for loss. He was a force to handle, even played some time on the offensive line. Huge breakout player for Coach Chris' squad, and Alexander cannot believe that. He only has 3 now because he left him out so long. 5 fouls and you foul out, but with 2:28 left in the third, I don't think you take him out now. Into Gerasi. The older Gerasi's been pretty quiet. He has that nice floater, but hasn't been able to finish. Now Alexander should help with limiting the offensive boards by the Mustangs as well. I mean, you're just not going to be anyone else as big as him on the court and for almost all the Trojans' opponents. Tall, muscular, physical. It's a tough combination to handle. He's back to work, and then he tried to give it to Perez, who was coming in, but lost it. And Sanders the other way. Excellent job by Sean Samuel to finish. 5.8 points per game last year. He's gotten to the line a couple times. Excellent job in the open floor. Lead back out to 5. Clark got the roll. Zach Clark does it himself, and the Trojans sticking around. The Mustangs almost throw it away. Now, Gerasi wouldn't have to worry. It's supporting the student section. Bombs away. Excellent job by Alexander battling to get those boards. That is a huge storyline in this game. Alexander coming back in. Perez and back into Alexander. Everyone in this gym knows what that means, but Sanders did a good job forcing Alexander to inside the basket and was just kind of out of position. Foul called on the Gerasi drive. On Perez, 15 foul. Perez says, why is it always me? But that's what it feels like for everyone. So Perez will exit. Esteban Bermudez, who had a terrific first half, will re-enter. Tynes, who hasn't seen too much absent, will also enter. So the Trojans go real big here. Gehring, 6'2". Oh, Alexander actually exited. So never mind. I thought they had Tynes, Alexander, and Gehring. That would be a massive lineup. Trojans did play that in their foundation game. They have a lot of size. It's one advantage. Excellent pass. He missed it, but the follow is good. Cole Shirley rebounds his own miss. Lead back out to 5. Back and forth. Neither team has been able to string together a run, and we've just gone back and forth in this third quarter. Trojans just need to put a run together like they did earlier. Bermudez falls to the ground. Nice show of sportsmanship by Shirley. Shirley's 4, so he's going to have to come out. Bermudez just flies her out like that. He forces foul. He does an excellent job. Whitaker will re-enter. Excellent job to steal it and finish. What a play. Gerasi the steal. And Reitergren finishes. That was brilliant play. Clark thought about the 3. Shot clock is turned off. 10 seconds remaining here in the third. Tynes, he was stripped, trying to get on the ground and force the jump. A foul is called, but on who? I believe on Tynes. And a foul on Tynes. Trojans have turned it over a couple too many times here in this third quarter. That has been costly. Trojans need to piece it all together. They've a little better offensively in this third quarter, but been worse defensively. It's always so hard. It's good if it goes wide right. So we have 8 minutes remaining in this season opener as the Mustangs extend their lead and now lead 42-35 at the end of 3. Fourth quarter. Conclusion of this one coming up next. And football fans will be interested to know that the team Petaluma lost to 3 weeks ago. Seems like a long time ago, but 3 weeks ago Petaluma fell to Encinal in the first round of the NCS playoffs. We were there. A tough loss for the varsity football team. Encinal finally getting to play their quarterfinal game against Cardinal Newman today, and they are getting routed themselves to the talented Newman 42-0 in the third quarter. It's all Newman over the Jets. They will move on to the semifinals. Not a surprise to see probably the best football team in Sonoma County move on in Division III NCS football. It's the smoke finally clearing. Start of the fourth here. Petaluma trailing by 7. They need points. Bermudez, could he provide the spark for Petaluma? Shot clock's down to 10. Izetta, Clark fires the 3. It was partially blocked. And San Marin with another bucket would take their biggest lead of the game. Neither team is led by double digits. Petaluma was only led briefly by 1 point. 3 ball off the mark. Samuel nearly pulled in the board. One positive for the Trojans defensively. Tyson Gerasi, who had a couple 3 threes in that first half. It's been pretty quiet in the second half. Alexander had a brief seat for 1 minute to the start of this quarter will re-enter. The Trojans might need to feed him if they want to get back in this one. Not been a lot of other options on the offensive side. Izetta hard to the rack, he can't finish. San Marin taking its time now, trying to get a season opening victory for the Mustangs. Been through a lot of transition, 3 coaches, 3 years. As the Trojans try to press it up, Gerasi intercepts the pass intended for Clark. And now Tyson Gerasi, his 3 is off. That could have been huge. And would have really helped the Mustangs get a stranglehold on this one. Trojans still without points in this fourth. Alexander tried to end it, but his range is not from the 3-point line. And he's getting serenaded by the student section. Sullivan nearly stripped it. Clark getting on the ground, but Petaluma unable to force the turnover. And now a timeout with not a lot happening offensively by Pat Fay for the Mustangs. Trojans offense, though, has got to do a cold patch. We saw it at times last year. They are so far been unable to find any way to get going. Late in the third and now here early in the fourth, and it's put them in a 7-point hole with 5:55 remaining in the fourth quarter. San Marin ball with 17 seconds remaining on the shot clock. See what play Pat Fay worked down in the huddle. Rising up and hitting is Jack Silva, a senior. And no one came to inbound the ball. Nearly spelled disaster, but it is the biggest lead of the game for San Marin at 9 points. Into Alexander. He's kind of doubled. That's just an adventure, and there he gets it to go. The Trojans finally break the cold snap. It was well over 3 minutes without a bucket. San Marin pulling it forward. 3 ball off the mark. 44-37, 5:11 and counting remaining in this season opener. Was it tipped? No, it wasn't. Out on Trojans. Too many turnovers as well. Both Bermudez and Perez have been pretty quiet in this one. No one's gotten hot for the Trojans. They've had a variety of players. They're going to call a foul on Perez. That's not fair. 4th on Perez, too, so he'll have to be careful. And it is the 17th foul, so the Mustangs are going to head to the line for in the bonus, a 1-and-1. Very costly foul on Perez. Dexter Gerasi, the senior captain, has been pretty quiet. Nails the first. San Marin in the weird MCAL schedule, they play on Tuesday as well at Redwood, the start of league play. MCAL has 9 teams in it, so they pretty much league play goes all year long. League play for Petaluma does not start till late December. We'll be live at many of those league games for Petaluma, but they are not at home for nearly 2.5 more weeks. A weird schedule quirk. Perez out of control, rejected by the bottom of the backboard. And the Mustangs pushing it up, but they're feeling good with 4:30 left. They lead by 9. Gerasi, yes! And that could be the nail in the coffin. Timeout, Scott Bears. It's 49-37 as the fans rise to their feet here at Paul Fehrenbach Court. And the Mustangs lead 49-37. And they are in trouble here now. It has been a slow offensive day for the entire team. They played valiantly here. but they are starting to run out of time. They did nearly come back as the San Marin student section jumping up and down. They're confident. They nearly came back in the foundation game on Tuesday against Windsor. They trailed by double digits in that one in the fourth quarter, and Robbie Izetta had a three-pointer to send the game into overtime. Windsor missed a couple free throws along the way to help, but the Trojans did nearly come back, and they've shown that they will continue to play hard no matter what. So you can't rule them out just yet, but they have to find some way to get their offense going. Alexander has not been reliable inside, and whatever the reason that he didn't play in that first half, he's kind of looked rusty almost, that he was sitting on the bench for such a long time, and he didn't warm up for whatever reason starting the second half. I don't know why. Again, we can talk to head coach Scott Bears and one of the stars of the game afterwards. Izetta, a long three, and he sinks it. Trojans badly needed something, and Izetta hits his third three-pointer of the game. He's got 9 points. The lead cut back down to 9. A good play out of the huddle by head coach Scott Bears, and run efficiently. Little floater is good from Gerasi. He's not been dominant, but he's been there when Mustangs have needed him, and that is a sign of a star. Pat Fahey calling no threes. Brown was open. Oh, he comes around, up and under. It almost went. He wanted a foul. That would have been spectacular by the Trojans' big man, but it doesn't go. So an 11-point lead, 3:20 left. It's a three-throw line, Jay, and it's good. Max Wittergren. The Mustangs extend the lead as this one's starting to get away from the Trojans. Bermudez crossed over himself. What an effort by Brown to dive in there. The Trojans aren't short on effort, no matter what, and Brown, a new player, but diving in there, and at least he'll flip the arrow with nothing else. And now a Mustang tending to his ankle. That's never a good sign. It's the elder Gerasi Dexter who's getting his ankle lifted up. You hope he's all right. The 13-point lead for San Marin. Trojans next weekend will travel up to Ukiah for the Fred Eiton tournament, and they'll open against old SCL foe Annalee on Thursday, the 29th of November, and then play either San Lorenzo or potentially a rematch against Maria Carrillo in the second round. And they continue a busy schedule. First Tuesday in December, against Montgomery on the 4th. And that is going to be a hard one against potentially the NBL favorites in the Vikings. Trojans were routed by Montgomery last year as Gerasi continues to be tended to, and then the Trojans continue tournament play at the Rose City tournament up at Cardinal Newman, which they played in last year, lost in the Constellation Championship game to Redwood. It's a busy schedule. They got plenty of experience for this young bunch for Petaluma, which is certainly something you want, and they'll continue to develop over the course of the year. And certainly by the time you get to the latter half of VVAL, they're going to be poised, and there's a lot of individual talent on this team. It's good to see Gerasi get up. He's limping, so I might not want to put him back in, but it doesn't look too serious, luckily. But for Petaluma, it feels like as they develop, and if they can kind of put all this individual talent they have on the court together with Alexander and the raw talent of Tynes, and you've seen flashes of brilliance from Bermudez and Perez, good leadership from Izetta and Clark, can all be put together as one moving machine. You have to feel good for Petaluma in what should be a very competitive VVAL. There are no bad teams, there are no dominant teams. It's going to be a battle every night. It'll be a lot of fun, a lot better than SCL, and it's gross disparities between the top and bottom of that league. It was not beneficial, especially for Petaluma. Offensive foul called, moving screen on Samuel.
Bad screen.
2:41 remaining here in the fourth. Trojans don't want to start jacking up threes, but they need points, and they need them now. Starters mostly in there, though Sullivan is in. who's had a terrific game, especially in that first half. Had a couple shots. Clark kind of out of control, but got it to go. He wants a foul. Delay of game warning given to San Marin. Clark has had some nice finishes to the rack tonight. I think he got hit on the nose there, too. He was pointing to his nose on the bench. They've called this game a lot looser in the second half. It's kind of been interesting. Trojans press, but Gerasi breaks it. And then tried a no-look pass. It was not advised, though. It went through a pile of flying hands. And it's Trojan ball. 2:18 to go. The lead is 11. Izetta rushing up. And Perez thought about it. Only has 2 points today. He's been quiet. Izetta just hit one from that spot, and he's done it again. Robbie Izetta, hot from downtown. He's got 15 points. Just like that, the lead's cut to 8, and the Trojans have gone on a 5-0 run. Look at the energy from Sam Brown. This one is not over just yet. Football scores report. Rancho Cotati is going to move on as they're going to defeat VVA Alpha. Petaluma face the American Canyon 35-7 in Ukiah. Will fall to Campolindo to end their season 49-7. Trojans still have a shot here. Mentioned they nearly completed the comeback against Windsor on Tuesday night. And they've hit a couple shots. San Marin looked like they got a little sleepy, a little content with a comfortable lead. They swing it wide open and good. That hurts. Trojan's zone defense. It's been good at times tonight, but it can also break spectacularly, and it did there. Silva was left wide open, and he makes the Trojans pay. The lead back out to 11. Perez, spinning, turning. He's got some good handles, but we haven't seen too much of it tonight. Inside Alexander. They're not going to give him any help. And now some more come over with flying hands in his face. He lays it in, and the foul. It's just big, bad bullying from the senior captain for the Trojans. And the last thing you want, too, if you're San Marin, to foul, it stops the clock, gets the Trojans some free opportunities. If you play smart here near the Mustangs and make your three throws, you shouldn't even really have to sweat it. Alexander nails the free throw, and the lead is 8. Trojans with a light press here. Easily broken. Now expect them to run some clock. As we approach a minute remaining, Gerasi was fouled. Not necessarily the worst thing. Clock was going to go all the way down to about 45 seconds if it was run all the way down. And San Marin's been up and down with their free throws. Better in the second half, but missed a whole bunch of free throws in that first half. Now, sophomore Gerasi. What a star he is for them. And stars are cool under pressure. That one looked pretty cool. Lead back out to 9, exactly 1 minute remaining on the clock in this fourth quarter from Novato. He sinks both, and the lead out to 10. Trojans will have to go quickly. Sullivan wide open straight away, in and out. A good look by Sullivan. Sanders pulls down the board. And Trojans are going to have to foul Gerasi now. And it's only a free-throw game remaining for San Marin with 47 seconds left.
Foul number 3, the Trojans, Robbie Izetta is first.
Timeout, head coach Scott Bears. 47.1 seconds remaining in this fourth quarter. And a valiant effort put up tonight, but this was probably not a game you expected Petaluma to come in and win. And they certainly gave themselves a shot, especially with Alexander not playing the most part in that first half and having a rough game. They still put up 48 points on the board. Izetta has looked good. And no one offensively has had a big night, and they've still hung around. Defensively, I think it's been disappointing in the second half. They haven't been as tight with that zone defense, but they also cleaned up fouls and offensive boards. And we'll judge how happy the Trojans seem afterwards. And you're never happy with a loss, but it's not a horrible loss to come into your rowdy atmosphere and a lot of talent on this San Marin team. They're also inexperienced, and I can't imagine they're going to be over 500 in MCAL this year, but Petaluma has shown some poise. Foul is on San Marin after the missed 3-throw. 47 seconds left. Whittegren, his 4th foul. 16 foul on the Mustangs, so another foul on San Marin, and the Trojans would get into the bonus, which would be a help. Izeta's had a terrific game, 15 points, looking for more. That one is short. Pulled back down. Izeta says, I want it again. Oh, what a move under the basket, up and under by Perez. Made it look smooth, too. Lead is down to 8. Trojans will need a foul. And Pat Fahey called a timeout. 23.9 seconds remaining. And the student section for San Marin's chanting goodbye. San Marin just needs a couple more 3-throws to put this one away for good. The Pitti Army. So you mentioned legendary coach Craig Pitti and what he did to build a powerhouse here in San Marin. They named the student section after him. His tragic death just a little more than a year ago has hurt San Marin and put them into some rebuilding. And Pat Fahey, who comes over from Casa Grande, coached under James Forney, who also passed away. So dealing with some of that tragedy and transition, trying to adapt to that well for the Mustangs, who certainly have some talent with the Gerasi brothers. They're pretty raw too, but they really put it together offensively in this second half. Trojans could potentially see them again in the Rose City tournament. Mustangs went to the championship game of the Rose City tournament last year and lost to Cardinal Newman. Inbounded, excellent play. Sanders up the court, can run clock. They'll foul him, but they wind down about 5 more seconds, and now only 21 seconds remaining. Perez called for the foul, his 4th, and the Mustangs are now in the double bonus. Trojans will not be home until the 11th, so that's the first game after the Rose City tourney against St. Vincent's. All Petaluma rivalry, and then we'll take on Santa Rosa on the Friday night on the 14th. That will be our first boys basketball live stream of the season, so don't miss that one. December 14th will be live, 7 o'clock tip from the Petaluma High School gym, bringing the full game to you live with play-by-play and plenty more. Always good to have live streams back. That ball tipped. Alexander throws it away, and Samuel can run out the clock if he'd like. Izeta will foul. Bangs the wall in frustration as San Marin's going to go to 1-0 on the evening. On the season, Petaluma will fall to 0-1 to start their year. We will be on Tuesday night at Rancho Cotati. The girls basketball team will open up their season. They were supposed to have a couple more games over the break, or before the break, but their 2 games were canceled, both due to the poor air quality with the smoke. So we'll be there on Tuesday. Trojans bring it up. Izeta fires away. Off the mark, and that will do it. Final score here from San Marin High School. It's the San Marin Mustangs 61. It's the Petaluma Trojans 50. Trojans fight valiantly, but just not enough against the talented San Marin team, and they fall short in their season opener. Interviews are coming up next.
All right, here with the head coach of the Trojans, Scott Bears, after the Trojans season opener. Was a tough game, but you guys fought valiantly. What do you take away from the first game of the year?
We put game plans in place, and I don't think that as a whole we stuck to the game plan as well as we could have. We had, keys and schemes that we were going to aim towards certain individuals. I think we kind of went away from it and the way we were going to guard certain actions, and I don't think we covered all of our bases very well. We didn't really control the controllables, and certain moments got away from us, and the little things add up quick.
Feels like there's a lot of talented individuals on the court, but it wasn't all pieced together yet. Do you expect that to come together over time with a very young team?
Yeah, we got a group here that, a lot of these guys haven't played together for very long, and with the air conditions we had for a while, we didn't get all the hours in the gym. And we're going to click. This team's going to have some success. It's going to be a roller coaster, but we're ready for it. It's a great group of guys. I really enjoy this team. and they work hard, and we're going to come together. We're going to get this thing rolling.
Thank you so much, Coach. All right, here with Robbie Izetta after the Trojans fall short in their season opener. You guys battled hard, but didn't feel like you were able to piece everything together tonight.
I mean, it's first game, you know, trying to see who fits in what spot, who fits where. We had a few breakdowns on defense to communicate as a team, and that's kind of what it really came down for to us.
You got hot shooting the ball from 3. How do you hope to continue using that throughout the year, and how do you feel like that helps space out the court?
Oh, I mean, it just all comes with teammates, you know, finding an open shooter. I mean, everyone should be able to shoot like that. We all have shooters like that as well, so it just comes down to teammates, finding spots on the floor and hitting those open shots.
You're the only 3-year player on this very young team. With all that experience that you've had over the years, how are you going to help lead this team, especially the sophomores, including one that started tonight?
Yeah, like team leadership always helps. We got Zach, Kenny, and I leading the group. Sophomores, you know, just try to teach them like do's and don'ts that I've experienced throughout the years, and yeah, see how it goes for the rest of the year.
Thank you so much, Robbie. So final score here tonight, 61-50 as Petaluma falls to San Marin. And thank you to Robbie Izetta and head coach Scott Bears for the interviews. They both kind of said it. Trojans had some game plans in place, really thought they could pull out a victory tonight, but weren't able to piece everything together. Robbie Izetta got hot with the 3-point shooting, but weren't able to really ever instill Kenny Alexander inside as the dominant force that we saw him on Tuesday in their foundation game. And not too many other players got involved on the offensive end. Some things to clean up for Petaluma, but I think going forward, the future is bright. This team feels poised, and they seem like they're headed in the right direction. And as they continue to play, as they continue to practice, and it was hard to practice, as head coach Scott Bears said, with all the smoke, as they continue to do more of that, they're going to continue to improve. And I think they're going to be a fun team. They play up and down. They hit threes. Defense is going to be something to work on. They struggled in the second half with that. But a lot of excitement around this team for good reason. We'll continue to have coverage of the Petaluma Varsity boys basketball team as the season goes on. Hoping to make it up maybe to the Rose tournament. Trojan should be tested there. Once again, they'll be their next game Tuesday at Maria, Korea. Should be a winnable game against the Pumas. Should be an interesting one for Petaluma. Our first live stream for the Petaluma Varsity boys basketball team will be next month, the 16th, as they take on Santa Rosa. And our next coverage is the girls basketball team as they take on the Rancho Cotati Cougars on Tuesday night. That will also be up on our YouTube channel, so don't forget to check that out. Winter sports are fully underway. That's going to do it here from San Marin High School in Novato as the Trojans fall in their season opener, 61-50. For everyone here at Trojan Live, I'm Griffin Epstein. Good night.